What up, everybody? We're going to do a little video here. Get away from the knives, get away from the guns, and we're going to talk about the dark of the night. Well, in the dark of the night, it's dark. It's pretty dark at night, guys, and it's nighttime half of every day. You're pretty much guaranteed half the day is going to be daylight, half of it's going to be dark. Well, what do you do in the dark you can't see? You got to have a flashlight. And you know what? Flashlights are like knives. There's a whole flashlight world out there, just like the knife world. You got low-end product, mid-range product, high-end product. You got custom-made flashlights. Flashlights are modular like an AR-15. You can buy the parts and put them together yourself. It's a whole addiction on its own, just like knives, just like firearms, just like fidget toys, just like watches, whatever you're into. You can have that collection, that addiction, and flashlights are the same. Now, I'm going to do a real quick flashlight primer. Why? Well, I see a lot of people, they're entry level into flashlights, and while I'm not an expert on flashlights at all, guys, there's a lot of people that come in, and when you come in, you don't know. You may not know where to go to research them. You may not know the little small differences that make for big differences in use. The first thing I'm going to say is there is a forum online, Candle Power Forum. It is the flashlight forum. Just go there. You can do every bit of the research you ever needed to do. You can find out every little thing that you ever needed to find out. It is a bottomless well of information on flashlights covering the entire gamut of the flashlight world. There's also another forum, I believe it's called Budget Light Forum, and it's a great place also. These guys, they're more on the quote-unquote budget side, but in reality, even those lights you can spend a lot of money on. And this is not really about this, just sort of a primer to get your feet wet in flashlights. Now, I tried to break this down to common types of flashlights, but there's so many different things that differentiate types of flashlights. You've got a user interface, which is the programming the light is set up on, and it's the way you select different outputs and different features. You've got different types of interfaces, physical interfaces, and by that I mean your button types, button locations, the way the buttons work, the way they activate. You've got emitter types. And in this, I'm going to pretty much just cover LED type flashlights. I don't have anything else in my collection. Even my old mag light has been converted over to LED. I don't have any incandescent bulb flashlights in my collection any longer. I mean, then you've got reflector types. You've got beam types. I'm going to try to cover all of this stuff. Now, the first thing I'm going to start out on is user interface. Let me pull out a couple of lights here to show some different user interfaces. We'll pull out this light. This is a 4.7's Preon P2, second generation of the Preon. So we're going to set that right there. Let's pull out the Olight S1 batten. All right, that's part of their batten series. And then we'll pull out, let's pull out the Manker E14-2. Manker E14-2. And then one last one. Let's pull out the EagleTac, what model is this? The G25C2, which is the second generation of the G25 model. Now, obviously they look different. Every one of those flashlights looks different, and there's multiple differences between them. But what I'm going to talk about is user interface first. Now, this Manker is a side button access. It is an electronic button. It is not a physical clicky sort of button, although it does have a physical click to it. That's just a tactile feedback to let you know that you've pressed the button. And it works on an electrical current. And this type of flashlight, regardless of where the button is located, whether it's on the side or the rear, if it is an electronic type button, you're going to get drainage from your batteries when not in use. And there is ways to fight against that. And typically what you're going to do is you're going to unscrew your tail cap and break the circuit so the battery cannot be drained. All right, but this is a side button. It is an electronic button, and the user interface, all right, you got to click to on, click and hold for off, back on, and then we're just going to click, click, click to go through our levels. And you can see that in this particular light, it ramps up and then it ramps back down. All right. All right, and then hold to turn it off. So in that interface, it goes forward from dim to bright and then from bright back to dim. That's one type of interface right there. To get to the turbo modes, the super high output, you're going to double click, all right, and then hold to turn off again. And that is killing my camera. I apologize, guys. So that's one type of user interface. And then you've got this little O light right here, and it's a side button. It's an electrical button, and it's click to turn on and then hold to go through. Now this one, when it goes through the preset levels, it starts back at the low level. It doesn't reverse like the Manker did. All right. You've got some special features on it. All right, click to turn it off. That's a different type of interface. And I'm not going to go in these and get to the special features because this isn't individual reviews for these flashlights. And honestly, some of them, I can't remember how to get to the special features like the strobe and SOS and things like that. Because some of these, I have those features turned off on. I don't commonly use them. So then we're going to go to this 4.7's Preon, and it's a rear button. It is a physical clicky button. So you're going to click to turn it on, click to turn it off, click to turn it back on a lower level. So, you know, it's very simple. You can see what I'm doing here. All right. Now, this is a forward clicky. As I push it forward, before it clicks, it's going to activate that switch. Okay, the next interface that I've got here has a rear button, and that's on this EagleTac. But to change the output levels, what you're going to do is twist the head. All right, as you twist the head down, tighten it up, you're going to go up in output levels. All right, and then as you twist it down, you're going to go down in output levels. And pretty much what I do is I loosen it down to where it's on low, just in case the button gets pushed accidentally. I don't want to drain the battery super quick. And you'll find that these lights that are high output, they generate quite a bit of heat up here at the emitter. Even LEDs are not 100% efficient, and a lot of the power that goes through them, instead of being converted to light, is converted to heat discharge, and they can get extremely heavy or extremely hot. I'm sorry. This little light right here, you can see in the palm of my hand, my medium-sized hands, has a 2200 lumen output rating. When you turn this light on turbo, it instantly starts getting hot. Instantly, guys. It doesn't, 5 minutes later it's hot. It instantly starts to build up heat. And this is a big old heavy solid copper head on it. It pulls heat away from that emitter very quickly, and you can feel it very quickly. All right, so you've got all kinds of different user interfaces. You've got all types of different buttons, button locations. Some of them, you know, when you go through the presets, it ramps up and then starts back over at the dimmest setting. Some of them, it ramps up and then it ramps back down. Some of them, you can change the user interfaces. Like the Maker model, I can set it up for multiple different user interface types. You just go in, it's sort of like a computer. You've got a chip in it that is controlling this user interface, and you can go through different manipulations of the button and change that. Now, the next thing I want to talk about is emitter, whether you're going to have a single emitter or a multiple emitter. And the emitter, of course, is the LED that emits the light out. You've got single emitter LEDs that are like this EagleTac. You can see there's a single LED there. And then you've got multi-emitters that are like this Olight, this X7 Marauder. It's got 3 big LEDs in there. And, then there's, I've got the Makers that are quad emitters. And, you got an Armitech here. It's a small triple emitter. You've got different sizes of LEDs. Generally, the larger the surface area of the LED, the higher output it's going to have. You can see in this little Olight AAA version, you can see the size of that LED versus the individual sizes of just the LED, the little yellow square with the dome on it that you see at the bottom of the well of the reflector. That's your LED. Now, each of the LEDs in this model are going to have exponentially greater output than that little LED on this model. Okay, so there's a difference there. Then, the next thing we'll talk about is battery types. Batteries, the downfall of a flashlight. This is the one thing nobody likes about flashlights. The batteries only last a certain amount of time, and these new high output flashlights have the capability of going through a battery very quickly. Well, they also have the capability, if you run it down on its lowest mode, to go through a battery slowly. You can see that a low mode output on this Olight S10, and then we're going to, here, let's turn it back on. We're going to ramp up. Okay, on a high output, the battery life is going to be shorter than on the low output. All right, the higher output you go, the shorter run time you're going to get. And that's just the way it is with batteries. Now, good thing is a lot of these have a moonlight mode. You can see that's a very low mode. And it's pretty much what it's called. It's a moonlight or a firefly mode, as some manufacturers call it. You can use that to maneuver around a tent in the dark. You don't want to disturb anybody, or maneuver around your house in the dark. You don't want to disturb anybody. And on a light like this, in that super low mode, the battery will last days. Whereas in the ultra high mode, it may only last 30 minutes to an hour. Now, battery types. Most of my flashlights take, I don't have a wide range of battery types. Let's do this. Let's go ahead and we'll look at this little Olight right here. And this is in a AAA battery. I've got a regular AAA battery in there, Duracell. It will take rechargeable nickel hydride type of rechargeables, and this will also take a lithium type rechargeable. And then the next battery type is the common, the CR123 battery that Surefire flashlights made real popular, and that's what's called a primary cell. That is a 3-volt non-rechargeable CR123. Now you do have a rechargeable version of that. Let's pull this flashlight back out. And that battery you will find is often referred to as an RCR123 or a 16340. It's 16 millimeters in diameter, 34 millimeters long. Now, Another common battery type would be AA batteries, although I don't have a AA flashlight. And then the next most common would be what's referred to as an 18650. That is a high voltage rechargeable battery. It is 18 millimeters in diameter and 65 millimeters approximately long. All right. That is actually one of the most common batteries in a tactical flashlight. Your 18650 or your RCR 123 16340 are very, very popular. Now, there is another small battery that, let's see if I can get this off. Dadgummit, that's tight. It's got a big O-ring in it for waterproofness. And that is an 18350. Now, this is just about the same size as this RCR 123, but you can see this battery, the 18350, is slightly bigger in diameter. This is a 16340, 16 millimeters in diameter and 34 millimeters long. This is an 18350. It's 18 millimeters in diameter and 35 millimeters long. And what you get with that is charge density, typically. And what that means is how much of a charge density will this battery hold? It typically is a slightly longer run time for a slightly bigger size. Flashlights that are super high output, like this little light, which will push 1400 lumens in this size, can benefit from that 18350 over a 16340 if the size of the body will physically accept the battery size. So, you know, there's all your different battery types. You know, let's pull this thing back out here. This little monster right here takes multiple 18650s. You can see there's 4 in there. And, you know, 9,000 lumen output on this guy right here, guys. It's a little monster. But, so, what do we got? We got user interface. We've got emitter types. We've got emitter sizes. We got battery types. You've got your flashlights that take primary cells. A lot of Surefires take primary cells, the 3-volt type. Now, this is not a Surefire. This is an Olight Valkyrie PL2. It's a weapon light. And it takes primary 3-volt CR123 lights. Or batteries. I'm sorry, guys. Now, I believe this flashlight will also take rechargeables, which are a higher voltage. That's the difference between primary cells and the rechargeables. The primaries are typically going to be 3 volt. The rechargeables are going to be 3.6 or 3.7 volt. And there are lights that will not take the extra voltage of the rechargeable lithium-ion batteries, the higher voltage versions. You have to be careful about that. Let's see here. The next thing is the actual performance characteristics of the flashlights. Now, the most basic way of breaking this down is going to be thrower flashlights versus flood flashlights. The easy way to do that is thrower flashlights throw light in a tighter beam for a longer distance. They will typically have a deep, wide reflector that will focus the light this way to get it out in a long distance, where a floodlight will focus light like this and it will flood an area with light. This Eagle Tac, you can see it's a very deep reflector, a wide reflector for that size of body. It is more of a thrower. And then you come to, say, you know, any of these little multi-emitters, you can see it's got very shallow wells for the reflector and a fairly narrow reflector size, and it gives you a lot of flood. It will flood an area with a lot of light. So if you typically, you'll see these people want to throw a light for search and rescue. They want to look way out to see things, and then they'll use a floodier light for something like camping or something where you want to light up the general area that you're in. You got to take that into account. Another thing would be beam characteristics because of the type of reflector that we have. You have two basic types of reflectors. You've got what's called a smooth reflector. Again, we'll pull this one out. You can see the reflector is just a smooth mirror polish. And then you have got orange peel reflectors. Let me see if I can pull out a good version of that you can actually see something on. Hold on a second, guys. Well, I don't have a good orange peel reflector here. Let's see if we can see this. If you get up close and you see in the reflector there how it's got an orange peel texture. Alright, what that orange peel does is it helps to further diffuse that beam. Whereas the smooth reflector is going to keep a tighter, less diffuse beam. Now, depending on the quality of how the reflector is done, you may have what's called artifacts off of a smooth reflector. You might see rings in the beam shape. Let's see, we'll get... Alright, that is a smooth reflector. Good Lord, I'm shaky. With a tight hot spot in the center. And you know, this is a really good beam pattern on this light. It's a very high quality light, that EagleTac. And then this light, okay, that's with a orange peel reflector. You can see it's a little more diffused. The hot spot in the center is not as tight, and you have more light out here in the perimeter in the flood in balance with the hot spot in the center. Now, let's see. I went over whether it has a rear switch or a side switch and electrical switches. You know, these flashlights, now that I'm getting into this video, God, I feel like I'm leaving so much out. It's like my steel primer video. There's so much to talk about, and I'm trying to get this into a very short sort of video. But if you look at what type of beam profile you want, whether you need a long distance thrower beam, a short end floody beam, whether you want a single emitter or multi-emitter. Your multi-emitters will typically give you much higher output, but they may have some artifacts around the edge. Let's see if I can capture that here. You can see as I turn that, maybe you can see that. You know what, guys, it's really, really hard in here. Okay. As I turn that, you can see some sort of shadowing around the edge of that beam. And that is an artifact of having those multiple emitters in multiple reflector wells. And what you're seeing is the way these wells are shaped together and they come together, these corners here, that affects the roundness of the beam. So multi-emitter lights may have some artifacts to different degrees depending on how well the reflector is designed. Some are better than others. That light is actually very good. Now, the next thing would be, let's see, using rechargeable batteries. You're going to have typically a higher voltage level than your primaries. Make sure that your flashlight will accept that. And there are rechargeable 3-volt batteries. I don't have any because all of my flashlights will accept a higher voltage level battery. That's one of the prerequisites for me to purchase a flashlight. Now, some flashlights have built-in charging and some do not. Let's see, this light does have built-in charging. I'm going to show you, I think, where it is. Alright, this is the Manker E14-2. It is a single 18650 multiple emitter flashlight, and you can see I've just unscrewed the head and it's revealed a micro USB port. I can take any micro USB charger and hook this up just like this. I can take the head off. There's a little light underneath this disc right here that glows red when it's charging, and it glows either green or blue when it's charged, and I can do that. Or I can take the battery out and go to a dedicated charger, which is what I prefer to do. And the charger that I use is a Nitecore branded. This is the what is it, the i4. This is the second or third gen of this battery charger, and it will charge any type of rechargeable battery. Not only will it charge any type, you don't have to do anything to it. It recognizes what type of battery it is. It has multiple charging parameters for different types of batteries. It does everything automatically, and it will charge anything. I've not had any issue with charging any type of battery. Lithium ion, nickel hydride, LiPo, protected or unprotected cells, 18650s, 18350s, 16340s. I've charged all kinds of batteries in this. It's a high quality charger. There are multiple different brands of chargers out there. Typically battery brands, quality battery brands will have high quality chargers available, and flashlight brands will have high quality chargers available. You can look around, ask around to see what is the best on the market. And you know what, the high quality ones are all pretty good. But I prefer to use a dedicated charger because they typically are a little more detail oriented, a little more refined charger than just the built-in charge circuit on a flashlight. The built-in charge circuit on a flashlight will charge your battery fine. It's not dangerous. It doesn't hurt your battery. But I like having the extra features of the dedicated charger. And you know what? They're not that expensive. That charger was about $25. And when you're spending a lot of money on flashlight batteries, guys, some of these batteries are $20 a piece. It makes sense to have the best performing charger that you can. And you know what? It's just an investment. It's an investment to protect your batteries, to make your batteries last longer. And it's a worthwhile investment as far as I'm concerned. So, you know what? I'm going to arrange these out here, guys, and just let you take a look to see. This is an addiction. It can be an addiction, and it might be an addiction for you, just like knives and guns. I'm trying to get all this in the camera frame, but I think it's going to be nearly impossible. But you know what? That's pretty much my flashlight collection there. I've got one in the car that I don't have inside, and one in the bedroom that I didn't pull out. But you got to watch out with these. This is something that you can make an excuse that, it's dark half of the day. What if there's an emergency? And you know what? Your significant other may not even blink if you keep buying them. How is your wife or husband or girlfriend or boyfriend or whatever going to say, hey, you know what? You've got too many flashlights, when all you have to do is say, yeah, you're right. What if there's a terrorist attack and all the lights are off? Yeah, we probably don't need this many flashlights. You're right. And then they're going to say, okay, get another flashlight. But you know what? This I hope this primer helps. Like I say, I didn't get into half of everything, and I don't know half of everything, guys. And what I presented to you may have been in a form that was confusing. Again, I've got my little board up here, my dry erase board that I keep notes on. It is so packed with information on it right now. I was writing stuff sideways and up and down and trying to fit it all in. Honestly, I don't even know if I covered everything that I put up there. But if you got any questions, if it's something I can help you with, then I will. If it's something I can't help you with, check out Candle Power forums. Check out Budget Light forums. You know, those guys are really, really into this stuff. They know every little thing about it. And there is a lot you need to learn. You need to be able to choose the right batteries so you don't harm your light and you get the best performance out of your light. Because some of these, like this light right here, if you put regular 18650s in it, you can't even get the highest output level out of it. It won't access it. You have to use high discharge batteries, a lot like what you would use in super high wattage vape units in mods. I mean, it sucks the power so quickly from the battery that a regular battery just will not support it. And you don't want to use a high voltage battery in a flashlight that will only accept low voltage batteries. You want to be able to choose the performance parameters, the user interface, the physical access with what button style and location, you know, the beam characteristics, whether it's a thrower or a floodlight, single emitter, multi-emitter, smooth reflector, orange peel reflector. You know, you need to get you a good supply of good rechargeable batteries, and that's a whole world into itself. You got to research that too, so you're spending your money well. A flashlight like this, it takes 4 batteries that are $15 to $20 each. Hey guys, that's $80 in batteries. You don't want to go and spend $60 to $80 on batteries and not get the best that you can. So, Candle Power forums, Budget Light forums, check those places out, and you know, educate yourself on this stuff, because you know, it's just like the knife world, the gun world. You want to get the best that you can with your hard-earned dollars. All right, guys, I apologize that I didn't do any better on this. I'm pretty doggone disappointed in myself right now. I could not get all this information across, but I hope I did help some of you. As always, thank you very, very much for taking the time to view one of my videos. God bless all of you, and stay safe at night. We will talk to you guys later.